Hey, welcome back to Refresh Talk. My name is Matt, and I am so happy you guys came and joined us today. So, we are actually going to jump into a part 2 of a conversation, The Lost Art of Honor. I got to sit down with my good friends, Shay and Josh, and this was such a great conversation we had that we had to split it up into 2 parts. You can check out part 1 on our Apple Podcast and YouTube channel, Refresh Ministry. Check that out. Let's go ahead and jump into part 2, The Lost Art of Honor.
Aren't we all the byproduct of our experiences, right? Absolutely. And so when you speak to that jadedness and how we operate and deal with one another, as a Christian, you literally have to lay all of that down at the cross. Right? And you have to pick up a clean slate with Jesus.
Wow.
And so the hurt of my parents and the hurt as a child and the trauma that I carry are all things that I can be set free from if I give it to God.
That's so good.
And so I think piggybacking off of what you're saying is that if we really want to know how to honor and we don't come from an honorable background, right? Because that's what we're talking about. Like, how do I honor if I've never seen honor?
Right.
How do I honor if my dad wasn't honorable?
Right.
How do I honor if mom isn't honorable? Right? How do I honor if I feel like an orphan and I don't? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
You literally have to go and say, okay, let's hit the restart and lay down all of that to God at the cross and say, Jesus, I'm going to restart with you. Because who else is more honorable than God?
Right.
And so my experience isn't just my experience on earth, but it's my experience with a heavenly Father that is honorable and can teach me how to honor despite my upbringing that would say that I don't know how or will never know how.
I love this because I don't think, first of all, I'm the one who wasn't prepared. Obviously they were. But no, I think really what we're talking, and your definition is just coming back in my mind, it really is a value system. It is how we value each other. And jadedness has to do with trust, but we make that about value. Because I'm jaded, I can't respect your value because I don't have trust. So I make the two equivalent, and that's not fair. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to our experience. So if I come to the table and I say, I don't have trust yet, but I do believe that you have value. That should change the way that those interactions happen and they build. Now there are things that build with trust. But there should be some things that are just standard with value.
That's good.
You know, so because you have value, I'm going to respect you. Because you have value, I'm going to try to communicate my best. Because you have value, I'm going to leave room for you to earn my trust. Instead of saying, I don't know who you are, I don't care who you are, and I'm just starting you at 0.
Right.
That's not what God does.
No.
Which is protective in and
Very
of
much
itself.
so. Yeah.
That's all it is self-preservation.
Yes.
Which in the real sense is kind of crazy because if you look at this in the terms of the gospel, like God was dishonored so that we could be honored.
Absolutely.
Like he was put on the cross, beat, spit at, ridiculed, all these things.
It says he bore our shame.
Literally our shame.
Like,
look it. And so he did this so that we can be honored. Now it says that we are the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. And that we're holy, blameless, and above reproach. So if we see ourselves like that, regardless of our past, then what we're putting out, literally the standard could be the Bible. You know what I mean? If I look at you, you're the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. You're holy, blameless, and above reproach. So my first step is to honor you in what God calls you.
That's good.
And then beyond that, then what else, whatever comes, then you can become friend, you can become sister, you can learn those things. But where you start is the standard, which is Jesus.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And if you see him in everybody, even in the sinner, you know what I mean? If you look at the sinner, the man that comes in that straight off the street smelling like Hennessy, he sits down and you're like, you're the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus.
Wow.
I'm going to honor you.
Wow.
And then they're like, wow, I've never felt this before.
It leaves room for transformation.
It opens up the door for transformation.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
so good.
Because it's literally like, I've never been put on this pedestal before. You know what I mean? I've never been taken from being this person, because if you look at society, the jail system is you're labeled as what you are, what you do. You know what I mean? Men are labeled as what other men do. Fathers are labeled as what other fathers do. Mothers are labeled as what other mothers do. If you label somebody as something higher, I'm going to honor you. You know what I mean?
It's built to remind you of what you did and not who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about, this is probably off topic, but I want to talk about the jail system and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not built to rehabilitate a person.
No.
It's built to remind you that you're bad.
Yeah.
And what if we, and I'm thinking of the prodigal son.
Yeah.
What if you did all the bad things, but there was still always a place to put a ring on your finger, right?
Yeah.
To put a robe on your back,
Yeah.
to cover you, to put a crown on your head and say, welcome home.
Right.
That's the honor point.
Yeah.
Make that applicable to churches,
Yeah.
too, man. Like, we're talking about
Is that not the model of the church?
Is that how the church operates? I love y'all.
I don't know what church.
But do we really restore it? I'm talking about the church as a body. I'm not talking about
I know.
I just mean culturally. I've been a member of a lot of churches, and that is not done well.
Yes.
Culturally.
But we preach the prodigal story.
We preach it, but it's very hard for us to implement it because, again, all of these things require us to be open and vulnerable to action. I'll never forget, and it's a good book, but it definitely has some theological things, so I'm putting that out there. But I read The Shack when it first came out, like it first got big, and then the movie came out, do it for yourself, right? But there's a portion in there that really is strong on forgiveness. It's talking about forgiveness, and he's having a conversation with, the God representative in this story. And it challenged me. His concept of forgiveness challenged me. So I really had to go to the word for myself. And something that I realized, and maybe it'll help you guys in the forgiveness area, because forgiveness is pivotal to trust, which is pivotal to value. It's really all honor. It's how you are coming to the table for someone else. That's really honor. I think once we get down to it, it's how am I coming to the table for you?
Yeah.
What space am I leaving for that? So basically, it talks about God forgiving us, throwing it into the sea of forgiveness, as far as from the east is for the west. Like, he literally separates us from our transgressions, right? It's hard for us to do that because God is all-knowing. He's known us since before we were a thing.
Yeah.
So he kind of has a little bit of a heads up on us when it comes to forgiveness, because it's like, I already know the trash that you're going to do, but I love you anyway. We as humans, we don't have that vantage point. So what do? How do we do that? And my resolve was that we are constantly learning each other. I can't come to the table established anything about you because I don't know. But imagine if I came to the table with all the things we're talking about. The image of Christ on your life, the blood-washed image of Christ on your life, the idea that you bring value to this table no matter what you've done and who you are, the fact that you deserve, no matter what you do, the opportunity to redeem yourself and to be restored, prodigal. If I come to the table with that, that's enough to start. But then I start to learn things about you, right? What we do is we automatically shut that down. And then all those other things that we're talking about, they don't exist because they're secondary to your actions. What I found in all of this is, as we learn, there's something beautiful that God allows. We still get to create boundaries. And so in forgiveness, forgive and forget. That's not real. What you do is you forgive and you adjust. If I have somebody who struggles with stealing money, let's be extreme. Am I going to leave my purse in a room with them? No, that lacks wisdom. Does that mean they're never allowed in the room with me? Also, no. I have to adjust to where they are, what they're showing me, right? And as we grow, those boundaries shift and change. God doesn't have to use boundaries because he totally gets us and he totally understands who we are and what we need to be protected. Right? So I think all of this really equates to mature us.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And so that freed me because it's like, no, I don't have to just be bare chest with in violation,
Yeah.
I still get to have a level of protection, but that should also come with flexible boundaries.
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance to regain trust. I want to give you a chance in another room, not to say, no, I don't trust that person. She trash. She stole $5 from me. Like, that's not fair. That was my experience.
Yeah.
Who knows what version of that person you're going to get?
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that humans do. We pass on our experiences.
Yeah.
We don't pass on value. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's a hard worker. She struggles, but she's a hard worker. I pray you have a different experience than what I've had.
Yeah.
Give people that.
Yeah.
You know, that's honor.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that
I said a lot of things, but really, get you together so you can honor somebody.
Yeah. If you really think about it, that what you're saying is the prodigal son.
That's the story.
Because little bro was at the house
Hater.
like, listen, I was here.
I've been here.
Right.
Yeah.
I was under your lap. I was doing everything you needed me to do, and now you honoring my brother. But then he's like, what you mean? Like, you've been honored this whole time.
Right.
Like, you have a house over your head, you have a roof over your head,
That
you have
part.
all these things. You've been honored this whole time just because I'm repositioning this person
Right.
to say, hey, this is your value.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, when you have a baby, like, you value that baby. You're like, oh, you're so beautiful. You're this. You're gonna love on it, and then that's a repositioning so that they know where they are in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how we have to be as the church. We can't be the people that look at ourselves, look
Yeah.
at what we're doing, look at our consistency,
Yeah.
look at all what we're doing. We have to be so mature to look at this person and go, what's the value in them? You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
And it's like the statement I made earlier, where it's, if we're not secure,
Secure, yeah.
you know what I mean? And where we stand, he was secure. He had all the security in the world. He had everything he needed. It's like leaving the 99 to go get the one. Everyone's like, why are you gonna leave me?
Yeah, the
You're
99
secure.
is complaining. Like,
You're,
wait.
right. You're secure. You are in the hands of the Father. But he's gonna go save the one. You know what I mean? And I feel like that level of honor is such a sacrifice and a submission to the leader, because you have to understand that he's also honoring you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like challenging the culture has to be the thing that we have to do. And it's like, the question might have to be is, how do I grow myself so that I can give honor? Who do I need to forgive so that I can give honor?
And who told me there's not room for everyone?
Exactly.
Because I think that's the competitive thought.
Yeah.
If I honor you, there's not room for me.
Right.
You know, that jealousy, I think, just makes honor so invasive.
Yeah.
Because it kicks me off of my platform instead of saying, no, there's actually room for everybody, which is another stronghold, really, I think, in our society.
So I think ultimately what we're talking about is like, in order for you to honor anyone, you have to do enough self-work to put yourself in a position where you're capable to honor with a pure heart.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that I wrote down was, when I don't honor, it's from my self-preservation or my own insecurity.
Yeah.
These are the two places that if I'm not honoring, then I'm in my feelings in these areas.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, for anyone, more than 10 ways that you to honor, right? Let's figure out the two things that make you not honor. Because you can honor in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
But I wanted to focus on, like, what I found, like, the honor scale. And this was where, like, it really started hitting home for me. I was like, ugh. So God was working on me. So number one, when I don't honor, it's from my self-preservation or my own insecurity. These are two areas of my life that I just, like, when I'm not honoring, these are the two things. I'm trying to preserve how it's going to affect me, right? Or I'm insecure about something or someone or some area. And so I don't release myself to honor that person because I'm just not in a healthy place where I can do that.
Right.
And so these are things that, like, self-work, that's what we've been talking about, right? One of the things that I think is really important is, in that moment, you know when you're, like, not honoring, right? And if you don't know, give it some time. You're going to find out real quick and know in your heart. But I said we need to slow down and adjust our response. Slow down and adjust your response. I think in moments of not being able to honor, it feels like a rushing current. It is like, what about this? So what I mean, You're in a meeting. Your boss, your pastor, your leader, whatever, says, here's a new initiative, here's a new direction, here's where I think we need to be focused on, here's how it's going to affect. The first thing you do as a human is you start looking at that and picking it apart and thinking, how is it going to affect me? And whether you like that outcome or not, that's how you will honor.
Okay.
How you'll honor that vision and how you'll honor that person.
Okay.
And so once you figure out how it's going to affect you, if you like it, you're going to champion that cause. You're going to run with the vision. You're going to applaud that person. You're going to say, great idea. But if you don't like it, what's the opposite? Right? Yeah, you're like, this is dumb. You're an idiot. Like, we're not doing this. I don't like this idea. Yeah, I mean, this is what you start saying to yourself. And all of a sudden, this lack of honor starts seeping into your heart. And that's what I mean by like a rushing current. It just starts with one thought, and that one thought turns to two, and then three, and then four, and now you're like, I'm out. You don't know what you're doing. Where you used to be able to say, man, I honor this person in this position. You know, if that's the direction you feel like we're going, then okay, you know, whatever. So again, it doesn't have, and again, honor is an agreement, but honor should be there even without that. So that's what I'm saying. Honor scale starts with honor. Always starts with honor. Do you remember when you first got the opportunity to serve in some capacity at your church or something? You were excited about that opportunity. It was a I get to do this. It didn't start with I have to.
True.
Depends on your mama.
Right.
Oh, wait. True.
All the church kids are
all the church kids saying that.
Really jaded, man. Sorry. But okay, so for some of us that get the opportunity to serve on staff, it never started with a I have to. It was always a I get to be a part of this. I get to come to the church. I get to serve in this capacity. Like, you were excited to be a part of the vision. You were like, I can't believe they're going to pay me to do this. Like, it was like, well, huh? So it always started with honor, and that's what it looked like. Honor can easily slide into familiarity.
That's good.
So when honor begins to slide into familiarity, now we're sliding on the wrong side of the scale.
True.
That familiar is, he's doing the same thing again. Oh, we're doing this all over again. Oh, that's just so-and-so.
Right.
Where you used to say, you know, do you need coffee? Do you need water? What can I do for you? What do you need? How are you? Now you're like, he can get his own coffee. He's thirsty. He's grown. He can do. You know what I mean? Now you're familiar. Familiarity turns into contempt. Contempt, I believe, turns into dishonor, which is not the opposite of honor.
Okay.
I believe the opposite of honor is division. The opposite of honor is division. And the word even talks about how God hates discord, division. It's literally something that God is like, spit you out my mouth, I don't like it. So for me, honor can go from honoring someone, I'll go above and beyond, what do I get to do for you? To familiar, to I know this person, whatever. To contempt, this person doesn't know what they're doing. I can do a better job. I wish I was that person. I should be there. To dishonor, which again I believe is not the opposite of honor. Dishonor is when you begin to act on the thoughts of contempt.
Wow, that's good.
That is good.
Right? So now you begin to rally people around your idea
That's so crazy. That's
of familiarity and contempt.
Wow.
And division is the outcome of not honoring.
That's so good.
Division is the result of familiarity, contempt, and dishonor. And so for me, this is the sliding scale of honor. We need to stay on the left side of the scale where we're just in its purest form, I get to do this. And I get to be a part of this. And I get to serve this person. right? That is the healthiest form of honor. And I really do feel, and this, I'm saying this really from my heart, because I have seen myself in all of these areas. And I know that I am capable of living out familiarity, contempt, dishonor, and division.
Yeah.
And that's not my heart at all.
Right.
But it's easy to slide down the scale.
Right.
And before you know it, you're like, oh my God, I've become way too familiar. That contempt thing is real.
Yeah.
You know, and that dishonor thing is happening, and that division, I can see it.
I can see it coming. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to kind of open up a little bit. Like, one, is it familiar? Does it resonate with you? Because when I started unpacking these things, I started unpacking things in my heart, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't like that about me. I was like, God, help me.
I don't like that it feels justifiable.
That's the crazy part.
That's the part. It's really like, and so I guess, as opposed to giving my opinion, I guess I would just ask, what are some of the things that you think can prevent us from going there? Because it is easy to say these things that I feel, that I think, that I'm saying are justifiable, facts versus truth. It may be a fact that I do certain things well or better or whatever, but that's not the truth. The truth is where we are in this alignment, in this agreement, in this, so how do we stop, maybe even stop at familiarity and get back to honor? What gets us back on track?
In my personal opinion, I think it goes back to the not looking at the value, but looking at the goal and reassessing what the goal is.
Also very good.
Like, if I come into a job a job knowing that I'm going to take the value of this job and I'm going to take it to my next step, that's my goal. Regardless of what I do in this season, that doesn't mean, if I'm not getting paid the $20 an hour that I want, the value doesn't, it means something, but at the end of the day, it's not the goal. My goal is to open my own business, right? My goal is to open my own restaurant. Whatever that goal is, that's not the goal. Now, let's say in a church platform, my goal, I'll say from my position, because I'm not in leadership, my goal is to be the best worship leader that I can possibly be, right? So then I'm around worship leaders, and it's like, maybe I'm not, this is a hypothetical, but maybe I'm not leading the songs I want to lead. Maybe I'm doing all these things, or maybe you're not even singing the songs I want to sing. That's not my goal. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not my goal.
These are not my favorite songs.
This is not my favorite song.
She's guilty. I'm so guilty.
I like Dante.
Because, and you give different energy.
Right.
When you're outside of that. I've been there.
But it's like a reassessment. How do I reassess the goal? What is the goal? But it kind of goes hand in hand in a church standpoint. What does God say? What was God's vision for putting you there? Why, when you prayed about it, did you pray about it? You know what I mean? What was God's vision for why you were there? And if you can't answer that, then you have to reassess. Why am I here? God, why'd you put me here? What is the reason? What is my goal? Because if you can't see that, then everything else falls into I'm sitting in the value pocket. I'm not getting this. I'm not doing this. I'm here, but I'm not getting. You're the little brother. You know what I mean? It's like we have to reassess our goal. And I feel like even for me, I've been there like multiple times where it's like I'm sitting in the value part of it. I'm not getting what I want. You're not putting me here. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. But I'm not looking at the goal, which is I want to be the best this I want to be. I want to learn from men who are honorable. I want to do this. So it's like within that is so personal because you can actually put that in any place in life. You know what I mean? You can put that with your children. You can put that with your significant other. You can put that anywhere. You know what I mean? And literally it's like most people, like I have a daughter, familiarity is the place you live in sometimes. You know what I mean? You're like, I know you, I know what you need, I know this, I know that. But it's the honor of like, hey, I get to do this. Like I get to hang out with this kid. I get to the Bible says that a kid is an arrow in the hand of a warrior. Like, do I look at you like that? Like you're literally a strategic answer to the problems of this world. You know what I mean? And it's like if I begin to value people out of the goal, you know what I mean? Where are we what's the target? I feel like that would be our reset. But then it's also the reality of it's not about me.
Okay.
It's not about me.
Because that's so big. Even from, like, I don't have kids, but I'm a daughter.
Yeah.
I think you can feel familiarity coming down. I'll say that because, okay, honor versus compliments. Honor is I know who you are.
Yeah.
I value you.
Yeah.
Compliment is I'm saying things that I feel like you should hear. Now, listen, I'm a daddy's girl on levels. They have my back. But I even think in familiarity, honor can become compliment.
Yeah.
Because the heart behind it. And even as a team member from a leader, you know the things that are on your checklist to say versus when you truly value me. That comes out in how you spend time. Like we work together and we're friends. And there's times when I'm like, I feel real coworker right now. You know what I mean? Because that becomes familiar.
Yeah.
You know, in a refreshed environment, we don't ever want to get to those worship encounters where we're doing it because we know how to do it. You know the difference between a familiar worship experience and an authentic, I'm really honoring the presence of God worship experience.
Wow.
So do you think that person can feel familiarity even when you're saying the right thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely, because there's a difference between a heartfelt conversation and a checklist thing to say. Right. And so as a leader, if you're trying to convey value to your team, which we kind of have talked about or exhausted, that it is synonymous with honor, that cannot be a checklist comment to say. It has to be a heartfelt conversation.
Yeah.
And even if it's in passing, there's for married people, there's no better way you could honor someone than going to their spouse and saying, your spouse is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing them with us. Do you know what that does to that wife or that husband? Knowing that their spouse on that team is making such a difference that we would go out of our way to do an eye-to-eye contact and say, thank you for sharing.
I can only imagine.
Right. Thank you.
That made me weak. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll cut that out.
I think that's important. That's
I can
thing.
imagine that.
And then, based off of the question that you asked, I just wanted to say this. What is the cost of honor? What is the cost of division?
That's crazy.
And so,
run.
but I think it is really important and will help you steer the ship back in the right direction when you begin to look at it from that point of view. What's the cost of honor, even in disagreement?
Wow.
It far
outweighs
the cost of division.
Can we just make decisions like that, period?
Well, absolutely.
That's just so
That's what we're talking about, is that
Yeah.
even in an organization where you feel like this thing's tanking and it needs help, you can still honor in that way, because the last thing you want to do is add division on top of the issues that are there.
Right.
And so the least you could do is honor the people in position and the season that you're in. Right? Because God works in seasons. And so if you're in a season where you're in an organization or you're with a pastor, you're with a church, you're over a ministry, and you feel like there's familiarity, there's contempt, there's dishonor, all these things are happening, you need to begin to say, okay, I need to know in my heart that it's going to be far easier for me to honor a person in position than to be the sole drive behind division.
That's crazy.
That's so good.
It's immaculate. It makes you think of like what Satan did. Think about his, like, if you really want to get absolute like representation of that. Look at him. Look at his life. Look where he'll be. You know what I mean? He created dishonor, created discord, then he created division, and he was kicked out forever. Right? And think of the things that we've been kicked out from because of our lack of honor, because we did not see ourselves in the honor scale. We did not honor this person. You know what I mean? And I feel like, as Shay was saying in the beginning, all of those things are so justifiable. Obviously, like, that's the nature of sin within our lives. But like, the reality is we've been given a opportunity to operate outside of that.
Right.
And kind of to answer another one of your question about, do you feel familiarity from the top down? To me, of course you do. Like, you can't not feel it, because honor is a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It is what you do just as much when they're not around as when they are around. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I treat my mom, like the idea of calling your parents or aunts and uncles Mr. and Mrs. and all that stuff. What if I call you every other word in the dictionary outside of your space? I'm not honoring you. What is it called? I'm powdering you up when I'm around. Yeah. Then I'm dishonoring you when I'm away. True. You know what I mean? And so it's like, honor to me, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. And it's the things that you do for those people, the words that you talk about Shay when Shay's not around. You know what I mean? Shay's the best worship leader that I could ever have. She's the best secretary that I've literally ever been and worked with. She literally leads our team and gets us and builds us up to this level. You know what I mean? The stuff you say outside of the eye-to-eye contact is just as important.
Yes,
even what
you're more saying, important.
Like even the thing about talking to the wife or the spouse about the other person. It's like you're speaking to them in a secret place.
That's what that is.
Yeah, and literally honoring them when they're not around.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, that's huge. It's huge within the world. Like, so many people see the opposite of that. You know what I mean? They'll talk about me behind my back. Like, I gotta protect myself now. You know what I mean?
And I really only pose it that way because I know you can start to feel contentment.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel when someone's starting to get that little edge on you. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if familiarity that comes across right away. Like, if you're starting to get familiar with me, and like, funny story. So Love calls me Shay Shay, right? So, and one day, Brooklyn said Shay. And I was like, what's my name? Your name is Shay? Yeah, my name is Shay, but what do you call me?
Right.
You know, like, that's that familiarity. Now, if I hadn't heard her say it, I wouldn't feel that. But I'm wondering in those environments, and maybe it does, and I just haven't been able to verbalize it. I think we don't really define it until it becomes contentment. Like, oh, you feel some type of way about me right now. Right. Versus that point when it's just like, I am not readily remembering your value. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where we get into familiar when it's just like, I'm not cognizant that you bring value. I'm just used to using it. Yeah, right? That's that familiarity.
No,
and
that's
so,
not good.
But I feel like that's how we operate with people often. Like, because I have access to the things that you have that bring value, I forget that it doesn't have to be accessible to me.
Wow, that's so good.
That's what familiarity says. Like, it just belongs to me because we're in proximity. That's not true, and it's not fair. But I don't know that we feel that until it becomes contentment, which is not just I have access, but if you withhold it from me, I'm feeling a total way about that, you know? So I was just wondering if that's something that we think comes across on the other side of familiarity.
Last thing on this topic, I feel like the big thing about that is, like, I've heard so many stories of, like, husbands and wives, either they divorce or one of them passes away, and they're always like, yo, I forgot what I had and not until it's gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like we live in that place where we're like, jumping up and down that scale of content, dishonor, you know what I mean? We're just moving back and forth on that scale, and it's like we're missing what's right in front of us. Right. We're missing what's right next to us. You're like, I missed that one hug or that one, even to see you smile after I speak up to you, whether it's a best friend, whether it's a mother or father, you know what I mean? How many kids you hear like, man, I didn't honor my dad while he was here. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that within that scale, it's actually the greatest way to protect yourself from regret. You know what I mean? Because what hurts worse than anything is when somebody's gone, and now you have the regret of dishonor.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You have the regret of division. You know, and it's like we are trying to protect ourselves by honoring somebody because you don't know how much time you have with them. And even on the other side, we honor God in this life because we know one day if we die and we go to hell, we're gonna be like, I wish I would have just made the decision to give my life to you. Like, I wish I made the decision. Now it's hot. now it's hot. I'm sweating. They torturing me. This is terrible. But it's like that's our reality. Like that, it's in every facet of. I feel like honor is such a big conversation. As we talk about it, it's like
I never even thought.
Unrolling. You know what I mean? Because it's literally every facet of our lives.
That's what you said. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
and I agree with that 100%. Honor is a lifestyle, and the only other option for honor is either a lifestyle or it's manipulation.
Wow.
These are the two.
Can I walk away?
Why did I have to whistle? I couldn't escape fast enough.
Yeah.
That's
Facts.
Yeah, that's
what it is.
Yeah.
I either live a lifestyle of honor where everyone around me deserves it.
Yeah.
You deserve it. You know what I mean? And I should always be in a position of service to others. Like that's what I'm here on earth to do.
Yeah.
Right? In my heart. And if I'm not living like that, then honor becomes manipulation to get what I want or gain access or try to become familiar with a person, all of those things. And so just in its purest forms, let honor be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, allow it to be a lifestyle. And if you feel like you're somewhere else on the honor scale, it's not too late to correct the ship.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead and fix it. And I just think you don't go wrong by being the honorable person.
That's
Right.
so good.
There's no short end of the stick in that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I think Shay said something that was huge. It's like I'm remembering their value. Like consistent remembrance of your value. And it's like whether with your kid, everywhere you go, like you can live that lifestyle of I remember your value.
Right.
And I'm gonna value your time. I'm gonna value just your space, your proximity.
Right.
I'm gonna remember that. And I feel like that's just huge. Like if we could take one thing from this and just remember somebody's value. You know what I mean? Just go to your mom and be like, Mom, I remember your value.
Absolutely.
Go to your dad, I remember your value. And it's like if we live that, one thing, we could use that as the first stepping stone to walking in
so
honor
good.
and living that life. Like, I'm just going to remember this person's value. And maybe even sit down and think on it. If you want to do a practical thing, write it down. Like, write down 10 things that is valuable to me of this person. You know what I mean? And
you ever think on the receiving end, how that might be a great reminder for the person of their value?
Yeah.
Like you honoring a person who you could focus on the shortcomings of that person, or you can honor their value.
Right.
That's huge.
Because guess what most people don't need is a reminder of how short they've come.
Yeah.
Facts.
The average person does not need reminded of all the things they've done wrong.
Yeah.
What they need reminded is reminded of their value.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so for you to honor others, not only do you, I believe, build yourself up with honoring others, but you remind them of who they are.
Yeah.
I'll expect that double spaced 10-point font. I would like that by the end of the week. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good.
I'm so glad we did this. I don't think I would have ever known it unfolded this way.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Refresh Talk. This is what we do. You're going to see more of the team in the future. So we're going to be speaking about more things, more of the Refresh team. We got some new faces we want to introduce to you.
Yeah.
So they'll be a part of some more discussions. And would love for you to go ahead and like us on Facebook, check us out, subscribe to YouTube, and don't forget about Apple Podcasts. You can check us out there as well. So stay with us. Keep up to date about what's going on. And anything else, guys?
Don't miss the next worship night. We'll be pushing that here shortly.
And
Don't miss it.
share. When you love it, share it.
That's right.
That's it. We'll see you guys next month. Maybe drop something earlier.
I think you should.
I'm busy. I'll see you.